Welcome back to the Lure Lab. Today we are talking about some JDM juice, one of my absolute favorite baits. Kind of hard to find, so you got to know where to look. And we're going to talk about some alternatives as well that will work for you that you can head on over to Omnia. So, as always, I'm your host, the Captain, Andrew Full, and the Lure Lab is presented by our good friends in my favorite tackle store, Omnia, and you can type in code SERIOUS10 at checkout, and you're going to be able to save yourself 10%. And as always, everything that we chat about today, that is available on Omnia's website. Hit the description, go down to those links, click on those links, head on over, type in SERIOUS10 like I already mentioned, and save yourself some money. And don't be afraid to check out Premium Pro. Once you sign up, you get 10% back on every single order, and you can use our code. So doubling down. That's incredible. But anyways, it's just me today. So let's hop into this episode. So, there's all kinds of different techniques on the market that catch bass, right? From the free rig to the Texas rig to rigging a soft plastic on the back of a jig, the Jika rig, drop shotting. And I want to talk to you guys about a bait today that you can kind of do everything with. And I've done everything with it. And these are a couple techniques that I think it excels in that you're going to put a lot more bass in the boat if you mess around with this style bait. So everybody has seen Kyle Welcher, right? Dominate with a Bronco bug. Jacob Wheeler dominate with a Bronco bug. Rapala. So this is going to be like the USA market version of that bait. The Bronco bug is great for Texas rigging because basically the flaps on it are going to fold over every time you twitch that rod and that bait's on the bottom. This one I found is incredible for free rigging. And we're talking about the Bull's Hog Daddy. And it comes in 3 different sizes. The daddy size is my absolute favorite size. Scuppernug Blue Flake has been an absolute killer for me. But you'll notice that has very similar appendages to like the OSP, do Live Beaver, the Bronco Bug. The downside to this is you're only going to get 5 per pack, and they're pricey. They're like $10, $12, depending on where you find them for 5 baits in there. But what I found is this bait excels on a free rig. I've caught them Texas rigging it, flipping grass. I'm not a big movement guy. If I'm going to flip something that's Texas rigged, I want something that kicks or is straight. This kind of goes down straight, but then it folds over. And I'm not a huge Texas rig fan that way. But on a free rig, which is a sliding weight, not Carolina rig style, but sliding weight. We've had an awesome episode in the past with Sakai Ushio describing the Korean technique, right, of the free rig and how it just dominates on the co-angler side because it just catches a ton of fish. And I feel like it's one of those techniques that's super slept on. But there's just a few baits that work really well with the free rig, and this has become arguably my absolute favorite. I was trying to find something to replace the Berkeley Max Scent Critter Hog because you can't beat Max Scent, but since that bait has been discontinued among my searches, this is the winner. Some other ones that you can use on it that are very similar, like I said, are the Rapala Crush City Bronco Bug. It's going to have a little bit wider body to it, so it's going to have a slower fall, but that could be good when you hop it up and kill it. So don't be afraid to go bigger. Bigger baits tend to get bigger bites. Another really good one that you can find on Omnia is going to be the Norie's Escape Chibi Twin. Make sure you get the 4-inch size. You can go with the 3-inch size. I like to drop shot this one, but the 4-inch size is a better match to the Bull's Hog Daddy, and very similar action, tail kick, etc. So let me hold both of these up for you here just so you can get an idea of what each one of them looks like. So here's the Bull's Hog Daddy. Here's the Nori's 3-inch Escape Chibi Twin. So 3-inch to 4-inch. It's kind of hard to see this here. But this one's a green pumpkin chartreuse belly. And then we got this big guy. And you can see this one has a ton of movement. And the way they designed it is this bait is hinged in 2 different places. So this bait's going to fall over front and back like the Bronco Bug or the OSP Do Live Beaver, but it's also hinged right here. So when you kick it, these will go forward and back, but they'll also go side to side. So you're getting secondary and third movements on it that a lot of other baits don't have. So something when you're slacklining and shaking that free rig, this thing has gotten crushed for me on Lake Erie, even on the Finger Lakes around Western New York. It's one of those sneaky good baits that I think they're 10 or 12 bucks a pack, like I said, but they get bit. So Texas rig weights I like to throw it with is like a 3/8 to a half, maybe 5/8, depending on vegetation, sparse vegetation, so the bait can have as much free movement and range of motion possible. If I'm out fishing on a free rig, I'm going to have half, 5/8, or even 3/4, depending on depth, how choppy the water is, and how the fish are reacting. Here's a little secret juice for you. When fishing inactive fish, everyone always wants to go lighter in weight and try to make them come up and be less leery of it, right? I do the exact opposite. And this is something that I think everyone who's listening should add into the arsenal if you do not do it already, is go way up in weight. So if you're catching them on, say, like a half-ounce weight and the bite dies, and you try the lighter weight and you're catching one here and there, and you don't need forward-facing sonar for this to work. And it's a trick that I learned from tube jig fishing. I go up to like 3/4 or 1 ounce drop shot weight. Not one that has a clip, but it has to have that circle eye so it slides for the free rig. Go way up in weight and literally just like nuke them. Drop that bait on their head as fast as possible and make them react. Even if you land it 2 to 3 feet away from a smallmouth per se, they're going to be curious and they're going to run right over to it and at least look at it. And I found this is a really good way for me to get a few extra bites when it's grimy, flat, calm, bright sun. And that's the other thing. I only find that this works really well when it's sunny and flat calm. If it's cloudy and flat calm, that's when I'll start going lighter because I feel like they can't see it as well. And for whatever reason, it's the exact opposite. They can see it great. I want them nuke them. If they can't see it well, I want to just soak it and let them find it really close and as natural and finessey as possible. So keep those in mind. There's some secret juice that I'm giving up there. I've talked about it a lot on the Serious Angler Network about how I like to go heavy when things get tough just because I want to make them react. So don't be afraid. Now, let's talk about hooks. Some of my absolute favorite hooks for the free rig technique or Texas rigging with the Bull's Hog Daddy or any of those other baits that I mentioned, when free rigging, Texas rigging, Carolina rig is going to be like a hybrid EWG style hook. And there's 2. My favorite is the Hayabusa Worm 956 hook. Sizes 3/0 and 4/0 are the ones that I carry in my boat. It can cover a wide variety of plastics. My second favorite hook is going to be this hybrid Gamakatsu G Finesse. And this is the only one that I had in the house. My other ones are in the boat. But 3/0, 4/0 hook here as well. I have found this one flexes out just a slight bit more. So you got to be a little bit more line pretentious, right? Like be careful what size line and how hard you actually hit them and be more cognizant of the rod that you're using. But that Hayabusa Worm 956, I've had 0 issues with that hook flexing out up to 20-pound test. So like I said, all that is linked down below. Now we're going to get to the business side of things and just tell you about the rod combos that I like to use. Lately, I've been messing around with that Bates Hundo. It's a sweet little reel. Kind of wish I had it in 8-1. It's 7-1, but it works. So I use 2 rods currently. The main one actually is an Alpha Angler Zilla, 7'3", medium heavy. I use it for Texas rigs, soft plastics, a little bit of free rigging. And recently I got a U-Call 755 Eclipse rod, which is a 755, so a 7'5" power. So it's like it's like heavy-ish, but not super heavy. Nice parabolic taper to it. Shout out to those guys from U-Call down at OH Ivy. That rod is an animal for a free rig. I can tap the butt, make that bait shake in place on slack line, and I do love my Alpha Angler Zilla to do it as well. 16 to 20 pound test. I like heavy line when I'm doing this because I'm throwing half ounce, 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce sliding drop shot weights. I want this down in the dirty areas, big rocks, boulders. I almost want to get hung up and pop it out. I feel like that's when I get a lot more bites, and I get timid when I get down to like 12 pound or 14 pound. If they bite it on a casting gear and I got 20-pound test, I'm not waiting for that net. I'm flipping that sucker in. So I don't think they're line shy. When you're free rigging, it's not about all finessey. You're making that bait work. And when you hop it and let it drop on a slack line, that's when you're getting bit. Line size, in my personal opinion, does not matter. Same way with Texas rig. Like 20-pound test, 15-pound test, 16-pound test, 18, whatever your favorite fluorocarbon is, there's not much difference between the 4 of them. So line shy or whatnot, I don't think it's line shy. I think it's all about how we present our baits in the water, and that's the ticket to getting bit. So if you're making too much noise when you're casting, just fix your mechanics slightly, and you're going to see your bite share increase. So don't be afraid of line. Only time I'm afraid of it is when I'm ultra finesse fishing, like a drop shot or a minnow, etc. Everything else on the bottom, you can run 20-pound tests and you're going to get bit. And if you're fishing big baits and you're trying to catch big bass, you better have the gear that's ready to catch them. So I hope you guys enjoyed like talking about that bait, Bull's Hog Daddy. The thing is an awesome, awesome bait. So if you can find them, check them out. Don't buy them all out because I need to restock. I'm down to like 5 or 6 packs. Yeah, if you can find them, check them out. Everything else to Omnia is linked down below, like I said. So thanks for tuning in to this week's episode here on the Lure Lab, presented by Omnia. Make sure you check out Omnia if you've never been over to the website before in that Premium Pro and type in code SERIOUS10 to save yourself 10% on everything that's linked down below in the description that is available over at Omnia. And hit that subscribe button if you're new here on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment. I want to know what everyone's free rig favorite soft plastic bait is along these lines of like the Crush City Bronco or Bottoms Up Bull Hog Daddy or the Escape Chibi Twin by Norris, OSP Do Live Beavers. Those are 4 really, really great choices that are going to put a lot of bass in the boat for you. And as always, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform and it allows you to leave a review, please do so. We greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned for next week's episode, and we will see you all then.